Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Anime King 3. And today I'm going to be giving you part 5 of What If Naruto Use 100% of his brain. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also, guys, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, yes, I indeed have 4 more channels. All the links will be down in the description for Anime King 2, Anime Symbol, and Anime Prince. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode. Let's begin now, guys. So, the last part that we left off, Naruto completely demolished Akisaki within the exams. Yes, he did not stand a chance in hell, as Naruto was just a bit too much for him, as he overpowered him greatly. His opponent in the final was Kurasaki. She was looking forward to this, as she was going to defeat him. She told herself she wasn't going to lose. He was a prize that everyone is talking about. Once she put him down, they will all see that her village was vastly stronger than them. So yes, she was going to defeat him. A few days passed after that, as Naruto made his way. He came across Jiraiya of the Sannin. The Sannin was surprised to see him. However, he did get the letters of Hiruzen about Naruto's change. However, he wasn't expecting Naruto to send him sailing from a punch. Yes, Naruto punched him so hard as he crashed. He broke his arm and he was wounded. However, Naruto told him that he wouldn't like for him to do what his mother suggested to him. Well, it was basically castration. So he decided to fulfill their wish by simply punching him. He then had the nanites fix his body up. With that over with, Naruto told him that he hold no grudges to what happened in the past. They can move forward from this moment on. Jiraiya was a bit shocked how forgiving the kid actually was. However, it was just that he did not understand Naruto's mindset and his way of thinking, as he wasn't one to hold on to small grudges that could not be changed. For the rest of the month, they spent the time together. The Sannin tried to make Naruto a summoner of the toads, but Naruto refused every single time, saying that he already had summoning animals. However, he refused to tell anyone what they were, which was a bit worrying. However, they all knew that his action so far has proved to be justified and good for the village, as he's not made a move or did anything bad to the Hidden Leaf. So it was supposed time that they trust him. When the day finally came, everyone was there. As they stood, the audience was ready. That is when she appeared, that woman once again. As Naruto floated up towards her, surprising many that he could fly. Oniki was actually there as well. The Raikage did not attend though. He sent a proxy. The Kazekage was there, so it was 3 powerful Kages. It was odd to see Hidden Stone and especially Oniki within the village. Maybe this was a good sign that they were leaving the past behind and looking forward to the future. So that was good at least. The girl that arrived, she finally told Naruto her name. Her name was Yumiko, as she told him to have fun and good luck now that he needed it. She made her way up. The first match was Sakura versus Karu. Sakura had been preparing for this. As she went down there, Karu would have been a top class kunoichi in terms of genin level, yet Sakura was able to keep up with her, which was rather surprising. as Kurenai had taught her genjutsu, as she wielded them rather well. In the end though, Karu came out on top, but heavily damaged. But Sakura had shown that she was worthy of the title Chunin. Her growth was still nowhere near to its limits. Naruto nanites followed her and the medical team as they closed her wounds up in a matter of seconds, shocking the medical ninjas as they were surprised by how it was amazing. They couldn't believe it, but Sakura already knew that it was Naruto that saved her. But everything was going to be fine otherwise. No metal arteries or organs were hit. The next matches went on down there as everyone sat. They watched, they cheered. That was until Naruto's name was called. He proceeded to make his way down there as he faced off against Kurasaki. She believed that she would take him down as she planned thoroughly, making sure to stay away from him but at the same time not giving him enough distance to attack. She tried to trap him first. She then tried to mobilize him, but she was dead wrong. It wasn't just a distance. There was nothing she could do to stop him. He even had the grace to apologize before he proceeded to beat her until she was on her knees. His punches were so heavy, just 3 and she was down for the count. However, he had to show the others that his name was legendary and his might was strong as he brought her down. However, afterwards though, it was his actions. He healed her and took her hand. She started to feel something strange in her chest as she looked at him as he smiled at her. She felt weird as she walked away. Oniki had noticed a look on her face. As some time passed, Sasuke came down as Naruto told him good luck as he made his way. Facing Gaara, Sasuke's speed was immaculate. However, that is when the invasion started. Chaos took place all over the Hidden Leaf village. Naruto descended downwards as he summoned a whole bunch of Harishin kunais. This was just an example for the others to know. Naruto used it to slaughter at least 50 from the bad company. As the Sand Ninjas realized their mistake after getting word that they were tricked by Orochimaru. After that, Naruto proceeded to summon foxes. Yes, his summoning contract was foxes. Kurama was now the clan head of the Fox clan. They have variety of tails, from 1 to 8, none of them reaching 9, as Naruto left that for Kurama. His pride, of course. As the others, there was a lot of them. A little brown fox jumped on Naruto's shoulder. She sounded rather soft and good, but she ripped through a guy's chest as she turned her very fur into what seemed to be steel. Naruto then flew to the heavens. Oniki and the others saw him before they left. So did the other proxy as well, as Naruto started to rain down lightning bolt upon them, wiping out the sound ninjas. He wasn't done yet. He started to fire straight across when he felt something. Summoning Kurama, Naruto told him to bring Gaara back alive. As Gaara transformed into Shigaku, Naruto flew to where Orochimaru was only to see that Hiruzen was pulling out the souls. Yes, and the Shinigami was there. However, the moment the Shinigami saw Naruto, it became angry. It turned its sight upon him, telling him that it wanted his soul because Naruto stole from it. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the place check for yourself. So say we jump right into this. Begin now guys. The place was very tense. Even the powerful Sanin, now shaking in pain and rage because he lost his arms, was able to witness the being appearing in front of all of them. The Shinigami had tethered itself to the human realm because of Hiruzen. Its gaze, those cold gaze, focused on Naruto. It was holding a sight in its hand, changing the knife in its mouth to a sight. It pointed it towards Naruto. Its words were only fluttering in Naruto's mind. All the others were hearing were a demonic screech that was truly frightening. It chilled their very soul. Naruto's feet shifted slightly as he took off. His speed was immaculate to reach Hiruzen, but Naruto had to jump back. Upon jumping back, his right arm was no longer with him, as the Shinigami was holding on to it. It had moved so fast and used the sight to remove his arm. Orochimaru stepped back, wondering what the hell was going on. "I suppose you would be angry," said Naruto, as his arm started to regroup. "You stole from me," the Shinigami said. "Well, to be quite fair, he was my father. And the other half of the Nine Tails, I had to free him as well. He needed to be reunited." "You stole from me. An insignificant mortal stealing from a being like me. But now, as you can see, I have tethered myself to the mortal realm, and I shall take your life with me." "And how are you doing that exactly?" "Oh, I see," Naruto said. Hiruzen was lying on the ground, motionless. However, Naruto could see the strange blue source floating from him. "You're holding on to the soul of Hiruzen in order to stay here. So all I have to do is let you release that, and you'll return back to your realm." "Stupid child. Do you believe you can force my hand?" "Actually, no," said Naruto. "Well, not right now. You're far stronger than me. I mean, come on. You're death. My chance of winning are, well, 0.5%. And even in that 0.5%, the probability would push me to certain limits that I'd rather not explore just as yet. So how about I make you a deal? There is nothing you can offer me except for your soul." "Now hold on there," said Naruto. He turned his gaze as he looked out, a smile on his face as he turned back to the Shinigami. "There are 178 sound ninjas who would flee from this village. I must say, there was a lot more than I thought, even after my summons, and I killed so much. So as you can see, I'll give you those souls in order for you to spare my life and give me back the old man." The Shinigami tilted his head. "No." "What? You will not retrieve the soul I hold. He's made a binding contract with me. The last time someone else did that, you removed it. But not this time again. This one comes with me. However, the others..." Its lips curved up into a smile. "I am willing to make a deal for your life. In exchange, you hand over all those souls. And if you do fail, one shot, I'll devour yours," the Shinigami said. Naruto stood there. He was strong, but he wasn't this strong just as yet. This thing would devour him right now. As Naruto calculated gaze, weigh the percentage of doing what he said. Fine. He stepped forward without hesitation. Just because he knew that his end would be met doesn't mean that he feared him. In fact, he feared nothing. As Naruto knelt down right beside Hiruzen, the Shinigami looking down towards him. That was all that Orochimaru needed to see. He shouted for the Sound 4 to drop the barrier. Orochimaru did not notice Naruto snapped his finger in that moment, as something happened but the Sannin did not notice. Naruto placed a hand on Hiruzen's head. Hiruzen blinked as he looked around, as he was in a pit of darkness. He was in limbo. He blinked. Naruto? "It's time for you to rest," Naruto said. "You've done enough. You've protected this village. You've given it everything you had. I'll ensure that this village prosper. But it's time for you to rest and be with her." Hiruzen looked around when he saw his beautiful wife smiling at him as he stood in the intersection. Meanwhile, outside, the Anvu started to rush inside. However, all of them came to a stop when they saw the Shinigami. The Shinigami gaze alone petrified them, its cold gaze stopping them in their tracks to make sure They did not interrupt. As Naruto got to his feet, he then turned his gaze before he took off, reaching the sky within a matter of seconds. Naruto then flew at immense speed. The Anvus were hesitant on what to do. The Shinigami raised his sights. Do not interrupt. His voice slammed into their mind like a tidal wave as they all took a step back in utter fear. They weren't dealing with the likes of Urchmar here or anyone else. They were dealing with death. Something that was enough to scare any man or woman. Meanwhile, Oniki and the others were returning back to their village when they all stopped when they felt it. Kurasaki turned her gaze. She could not see him clearly, but she knew that it was him. Naruto stood in mid-air, looking down towards the ground. Hundreds, as they were trying to split apart, trying to move into all different directions, but he couldn't allow that. Naruto held his hand out as a seed appeared on top of his finger. He then dropped that seed. The moment it made contact with the earth, hundreds of vines rose up. Ninjas were grabbed and thrown. They started to freak the hell out and panic as they were brought in the sector of what seemed to be a live, massive trap. A Venus flytrap, a very powerful plant, but on a much wider scale. As they saw the sharp, strange white things that looked like teeth surrounding them. Jutsu started to be fired by them as they tried to escape, but Oniki flew up in the sky. Violent winds started to be pushed past them as Oniki realized it was being pulled. He had to steady himself as he realized just what exactly was going on. This boy, he said with a tinge of fear in his tone. That is when it suddenly stopped. Oniki was shocked. Standing behind Naruto was a colossal tornado. As it started up once again, the entire forest started to be affected. Everyone started to be affected. All those way back in Konoha. But he wasn't done yet. Naruto held his hand out. His palm ignited before he released it. A whirlwind of nothing but flames. Red, hot flames started to spin out of control. Well, it seems that way. As Naruto brought the two massive whirlwinds together, before they combine perfectly, they twist around each other like a funnel, creating a super inferno. Naruto ascended into the heavens before he placed his hand out and released it. All the ninjas' eyes widened as the thing descended upon them. The moment it went inside, the mouth of the Phoenix flytrap seemed to close up. Before boom, the pressure made it expand as it shook everything. However, the pressure was pulled back inside as it seemed to swallow all the residual force and the backlash. The plant then slowly shrunk itself down into the earth as Oniki stood there, shocked by that very display. Just how truly powerful was this one boy? Naruto teleported as he returned. The Anvus, surprised, as he simply appeared in front of them. The Shinigami looked at him, as the Shinigami seemed to be in glee. You made good on your word. I suppose you can stay. Tell me why, said Naruto. Why what? Why did you even agree to my proposition? You know more than I that your power is greater than mine. Yes, that is true. So why did you agree to it? Was it just for the souls? Naruto asks. Well, part of it was. You made a binding deal with me. You did not even know what you were doing. However, just for that brief moment, you became a mercenary of mine. So all those souls, they belong to me and me alone. I see, said Naruto. But now our contract is up and your deal has been met. What's the other reason, said Naruto. The Shinigami merely smiled. I'll be seeing you again. With that he went away. He did not say it in a way like he would be claiming Naruto's soul, but it was odd, different from that. Naruto looked down as Hiruzen finally moved on towards the Pure Land to be with his wife. It's over now, said Naruto. His gaze drifting towards the Anzus when he heard something. Naruto teleported as he raised a hand. Calm down, people, he said. He was speaking to the bunch of people that were standing in front of the great beast, ready to fight, as the Ninetales was glaring down at them with an intimidating smile. I know he looked rather scary, but he's with me. The Ninetale extended one of his tails as it came down in front of Naruto. There were 3 people instead of only 1. Gaara was there, and his 2 siblings unconscious as well. Naruto looked behind the Ninetales. You didn't hold back, did you? You're one to talk, Kurama said, glancing over towards where the destruction was. Now if you don't mind, next time, call me for something more entertaining. With that he poofed away, causing Naruto to simply shake his head as the siblings started to float upwards, using his mind to lift them. He then turned towards the people. Well, I guess it's all over, he said. Time skip. No casualties were met. That was a shocking news to receive. There was none. No casualties. Every single Konoha ninja came out of it alive. Some bruised and some wounded, but alive. And this was all because of Namikaze. First, he took down hundreds with the Harishin kunais. He then summoned those foxes that fight alongside the Konoha ninjas, saving the Konoha ninjas and crushing the enemy, causing all of them to live through this. Many were grateful, many were happy, as the name Namikaze was spreading through the elemental nation more and more. The son of Minato, Naruto Namikaze. The only tragedy was one of the greatest though. However, any Hokage would be proud to know that his people survived a great tragedy if it would take his life in the process. The 4th Hokage did not hesitate to do so to save his people, and the 3rd didn't either. Orochimaru was alive, but, well, as far as Naruto was concerned, not for too long. But he was alive for now. But let him cling on to that hope that it would be for a long time. Hiruzen's funeral everyone attended. As there were tears shed, the heavens itself quaked as rain poured down upon them. After the event was over, a discussion was called up front. They needed a new Hokage. The first person they went to was the Sannin Jiraiya, but he had another person in mind, and he needed help to retrieve that person. Time skip. Jiraiya had been looking for Naruto for some time now, when he ran into someone that Naruto had spoken about, the pink-haired girl that he had trained. He proceeded to ask her if she saw him, because he could not see Naruto anywhere. She had an idea where he was. The Sannin made his way to Training Ground 21, where he arrived to see Naruto sitting in a boat on a river stream with a fishing rod in his hand. The Sannin looked a bit confused. He walked towards it as he walked on top of the water, heading towards him. I'm surprised to see you out here, he said. I never expected or take you for a fisherman, the Sannin said. It's just something I recently picked up, said Naruto. It calms the mind, and my mind is always going, every single time, every second, every day. Naruto said as he enjoyed his fishing. I presume that they asked you to become the next Hokage. However, you turned them down. And then you told them that you were going to find Lady Tsunade in order for her to become the Hokage. What? How do you... It's the only logical choice. With her background, her grandfather and her granduncle, and not to mention she was a student of Hiruzen Sarutobi. And given your whole demeanor, I doubted that you would want the position. So I'm guessing that you're here to ask for my help to bring her back, because you don't know if you can do so on your own. Alright, smart guy, Jiraiya said. Tell me how much fingers I'm holding up behind my back. Naruto chuckled slightly. I wasn't reading your mind. And yet you said everything perfectly. Remember, said Naruto as he tapped his brain. Super genius. Does that mean you have future intellect, he asked. Well, not really, said Naruto. Just pretty smart. Well, really smart. Naruto picked himself up. Jiraiya noticed that the fishes that he caught were trapped in a strange orb containing water, as Naruto floated them back out. And what was the point of that, the Sannin asked. Just to relax, said Naruto, as he started to walk. I'll be ready in approximately 9 minutes. With that, he was gone. Time skip. There was a knock, as Rock Lee, who was training in the hospital room, looked up towards a person. He was surprised. Naruto-kun, he said. Meanwhile, at the hidden stone, Kurasaki threw another punch, as she obliterated the rock dummy that stood in front of her. There were 5 of them surrounding her. There was a tuning off to the side that was creating them. She ducked and twisted. Her body moved with a motion and a speed that she never had before. She seemed much lighter. As she danced on her feet, she swung and kicked her heel through one of their skull, obliterating it. There she was, demolishing all of the threats. There was a smile on her face. There was a reason for that. Through her eyes, the dummies looked just like Naruto. However, the thought of killing him was not on her mind right now. She enjoyed fighting him for some reason. It wasn't really that though. It was at the end of the match, when he took her hand, when he gently rested his hand on her back, when he supported her and smiled at her, knowing that despite her wanting to take his life, she shook her head. What the hell was she thinking? This couldn't be possible. There was no way in hell, she shouted to herself, surprised in the tuning. Could she have feelings for the Namikaze? She cursed to herself. Time skip. Both Naruto and Jiraiya was walking. The Sannin was showing Naruto the Rasengan. Of course I do, said Naruto, as Jiraiya asked him if he knew about the technique. After seeing Naruto use the Harashin, it was a no-brainer, of course. However, it's rather ineffective despite the damage output. Given the incomplete of the technique, I'm surprised you weren't able to complete it after all these years. Easier said than done, kid, said Jiraiya. Naruto looked towards him. You have a fire and earth affinity, which you specialize in. Did I tell you that, Jiraiya said. No, said Naruto, not explaining how he knew. I think it's best if you go with fire. There is something that you're not seeing, but I can see it. What's that, Jiraiya said. The Rasengan is a raw manipulation of chakra that swirls. The damage output is the residue of the chakra, releasing upon impact. The swirling, well, that can cause quite the amount of damage as well. However, if you're going to combine it with fire, you can't really think of fire as something that will ever out. You need to think of it as everlasting. You need to allow your fire to burn without an ending period, otherwise the swirling of the Rasengan will stop it from reaching the pinnacle of the technique's strength. Having your mind think of the unlimited resource that burns until the end of time, allowing your body chakra to manipulate it to the full extent of what flames truly are. Think of it as a stream, not as something that burned, but something that flew, until time has no meaning. Then combine it with a Rasengan. Make it twirl and flow around it, merging into each grain of chakra, twisting. After all, the both of them are your chakras, so they should be compatible. I think I get what you're saying, Jiraiya said. However, it's gonna be harder to be placed on paper. Well, I suppose you're right, said Naruto. The look on his face. Wait, you say that like you already did it. The Sannin said. My accomplishment would put shame to your hard work, said Naruto. Oh, I see. You're trying to spear my feelings, saying that you can already complete it. And I've been working on it for some years now. To not let my spirit down. Is that what you're trying to say? I did not say that. You know I'm the adult here, right, kid? Said Jiraiya. And I can get this down, especially after that explanation. Really? You think you can? What? Is that a challenge? Sannin said, looking towards Naruto. You know, I never asked you to do that. But you're insinuating that I can't, said Jiraiya. You just watch. I'll get this down. Naruto shrugged his shoulder, further pissing off Jiraiya, in a comedic way. As Naruto knew exactly what he was doing, but he wanted to see if his reverse psychology was going to work on the man. And he seemed to took to it rather well. As good as the Sannin was, he was easily manipulated throughout conversations alone as they continue on their journey. Time skip. They went to one town, however. Tsunade was not there, so they were heading to the other one. The sky was getting dark as night was soon approaching. Both Naruto and Jiraiya were walking through a forest. It was nighttime as they were discussing the recent event at Konoha regarding the Nine Tails, as Naruto was informing Jiraiya that the Nine Tails was no longer a threat for the village. As they were talking, Naruto suddenly stopped as Jiraiya gazed around when he heard something. It sounds like movements as he tried to peer through the darkness. As Naruto reached out and grabbed the kunai that was sent toward Jiraiya's temple. That is when Jiraiya noticed the explosive tag. He opened his mouth to say something. Boom! The explosion went off directly in Naruto's face. However, the explosion was sucked in. It didn't explode out, it was sucked back in. Like a miniature vortex or a black hole, siphoning back the explosive energy back together. As Naruto clenched his fist shut, when he opened his palm, smoke erupted from it. But the explosion was long gone. Jiraiya spun as he slammed his hand down, manipulating the earth as a massive dome erupted around the both of them, as several explosive tags attached to shurikens and kunais hit the dome, the place exploding outside. It seems like we've been put on a targeted list. Yeah, said Jiraiya. I'm surprised though, after what they heard about you, and especially me being here as well, that they would try to attack us. Well, given my recent movement up in the world, and my strength being on full display, and I believe that my age is a big factor in this as well. To think that I'm so young and yet so powerful as well, I believe that it was enough to inspire a few to make a few desperate moves, even if it means attacking me while you're here as well. This dome will not hold up for much longer. Yeah, said Jiraiya. You ready? Yeah, said Naruto. Jiraiya dropped the dome. The moment he did, he launched 5 fire bullets throughout the forest. As he watched, the ninjas clad in all dark proceeded to jump away. The Sannin flipped as several massive Fuma shurikens landed where he was. Naruto was still standing there when he was surrounded. 5 of them, each of them holding a different type of blade. A claymore, a kodoki, a ninjato, a katana, and a spear. They all surrounded him, their gaze fixated on him. As they move in perfect synchrony, they attack him at once, believing that would be enough to end his life. However, as they thrust out, each of them aiming to a vital spot of Naruto's body, they found their blades unable to move, their hands struggling to bring their weapons out. But they could not strike. Suddenly, the blades proceeded to slam into the earth. Naruto uses nanites to place weights on the blade, weights that they could not hold up. Now that their bodies were functioned down, 4 of them, one moment they stood, the next moment, he merely waved his hand His action was so fast, the last one, a kunoichi. There were 3 kunoichis and 2 males. However, the other 4, Naruto took their head clean off. No hesitation, no remorse, just death. Many people believe that he was this being of light and hope, but yes, to some that was the case, but Naruto did not feel emotions like what everyone else did. That is why he had no sympathy, no remorse. He was one of the most ruthless beings on this planet. But to those that knew him, they see him as a beacon of hope and light, which was a good thing, but to enemies. The girl tried to move, but Naruto gripped her throat so tight, her face started to turn blue instantly. She raised her hand and threw a punch towards his stomach, trying to make him release her, but her punches barely even fazed him, as he did not move. "Who sent you?" he said. "By my estimation, if I keep on holding you like this, you have 9 seconds before you black out. 8, 7, if you're going to answer me, raise your right hand. 6, 5, 4. She raised her hand as Naruto released her. She dropped down to the ground, gasping for breath, her color slowly returning back to normal. She was wearing a face mask and what seemed to be a strange bandana around her head that was dark. "Who sent you?" said Naruto. She looked up, and what she saw terrified her, as his cold, ruthless eyes gazed into hers. Her entire being was shaking in fear, her hands slowly reaching for something. She was terrified, utterly terrified. She pulled out a piece of paper as Naruto took it from her. Naruto saw his photo on the piece of paper. It was a special bounty. Dead. 100 million. Now that was something. Alive. 150 million. Who would have the resources to pay something like this? Not even a great nation would pay this much and start this problem. Tell me, where did you get this? I don't know who it was. We were hired anonymously. A lot of us. They are going around handing out these flyers to a lot of missing names. We were target to bring your body back. We could work as a group. She looked around. She knew these people rather well. She wanted to lash out, but she knew the moment she did, she was dead. Despite his gaze now looking unassuming, she felt it within the depths of her soul. "Alright then," said Naruto. The spear that she was holding fly into his hand. Wait, no! She couldn't get to finish as Naruto threw it. It burst through her skull, ending her life. Rasengan, he heard, as another was sent sailing right towards him. Naruto reached up and caught him by the back of the neck before he plunged his head through the earth, destroying it with a force. As he brushed his arms off and started to walk, "I think that's all of them. Good on your part," said Jiraiya. "Yes," said Naruto. "What did you find out?" the Sannin asked, seeing the look on Naruto's face. Naruto handed him the piece of paper. Jiraiya was shocked, utterly so. "I've never seen a bounty this high, especially alive. There are people that has this amount, but not from one place. From many other nations combined. People like Orochimaru. However, this is made out from one. That means someone is willing to pay this much to get my head," said Naruto. "I wonder who it is." As Jiraiya narrowed his gaze, "It's not them. Who am I thinking about? The Hidden Stone. Given their recent attendance to the Chunin exams, you believe that it's them, but I don't think so," said Naruto. "I've seen that old man. As much as he despised Konoha, he's not willing to risk anything else, to lose anything else. But it does not matter. Soon enough they will come out in the open after they start to lose a lot, going for people to try and kill me," Naruto said. "Come on now, kid," said Jiraiya. This is no laughing matter. With this amount on the line, who knows how many will come after you? There's nothing to worry about, said Naruto. Aren't you being a bit too cocky now, said Jiraiya. Not really, said Naruto. There is absolutely no one that would ever receive that amount, because there is no one that can take my head. With that, Naruto simply walked off, his words absolute, as he believed 100% that whoever he faced, he would demolish them. Naruto looked down, as he looked in the center of his palm to see blood. He used his other hand to wipe the blood away, as he noticed that his skin was broken. Strange, he thought to himself. He wasn't cut by the enemy. The next moment, though his hand healed by itself, he had an idea what was going on. It seems his strength and knowledge was growing faster than he thought. As he proceeded to make his way, time skip, tragedy struck within Konoha as two powerful people attacked the village. They were looking for Naruto, yes, the nine-tailed host. Kakashi got laid out by one of them. When Sasuke found out, he immediately took off, heading out and trying to find Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto resided in a hotel as he was reading a book, a very extremely high level of knowledge book. It was on the biology of humans. As he was looking at something, in his other hand was a document with the name Rock Lee on it. There was a reason why he visited Lee at the hospital. Naruto glanced up as there was a knock on his door. After he looked up, getting out of bed as he rested his butt down, Naruto opened his door. He was taller than the man that was standing there. Despite that though, Naruto gazed directly into his eyes. Itachi Uchiha. And Kisame, Naruto said, stepping out. I must ask, why are two S-rank missing names at my door? So this the kid, huh? He's older than I would thought. Then the fourth Hokage died like 12 or 13 years ago. If this kid is his son, how the hell does he look older than that? Complicated, said Naruto. Now, how can I help you? Naruto Namikaze, we're going to need you to come with us. Itachi said in a calm tone. You know, I've been looking forward to meet you. There's a lot I would like to discuss about. For example, your brother. Brother? Kisame said. About you, said Naruto. I'm going to need you to stay away for a minute. Without even muttering a word, a giant fox appeared beside Naruto. The fox was all blue. It had 3 tails swinging behind it. It reached up to Naruto's shoulder. It looked around. Naruto pointed towards Kisame. The fox body got electric in a second. Kisame was blasted down the hall as the thing slammed into him with speeds that he didn't expect. Now Itachi and Naruto were left there. I know, Naruto said, looking at Itachi. Itachi did not say anything. I know that you killed your clan because of the coup, and you did so under the orders of Danzo Shimura, because you didn't want it to lose your younger brother. I recently came across Danzo and learned everything from his mind. You did a great service for the village, willing to risk everything, even your image, sanity, because I'm sure it hasn't been good on your mind. But not just that as well. You left Danzo to live despite everything that he has caused. You could have sided with your clan, but no. You sided with the village. Even after knowing that Danzo stopped your progress by killing Shisui, who could have changed things. Yes, I know that as well, said Naruto. However, he's a necessary evil. The village does need him for certain areas. Although, I could kill him and simply replace him with something else. What do you... Itachi's eyes turned into the Mangekyo as Naruto looked into them. Itachi's words came out soft. Naruto found himself strapped to a cross as he was in the world of the Tsukuyomi. What is this? He said, looking around. I'm not sure how you got that information, but I can't allow you to keep it, Itachi said, willing to rip the information directly out of Naruto's mind. I knew the Sharingan had many capabilities, even to trap one in an illusionary world that can never be broken. This is a Tsukuyomi if I'm not mistaken. How do you... I read the tablet, the Uchiha tablet. Certain information on it really seems false, like someone tampered with it. However, given the low population now, it doesn't really matter anymore. That's not possible. You would need these eyes to read that tablet. Anything is possible when you're me, said Naruto. For example, Naruto broke the cross as he jumped down. He landed, his feet not touching the ground though. This world is an illusionary state of your mind, for you to manipulate mine, but you should know. The world shifted to a grassy field with an open area and a powerful sun. There is no one in this world that can control my mind. This time Itachi was chained down to the ground. Now, let us have a conversation. Naruto said, walking towards him. Time skip. Itachi! Sasuke shouted as he finally reached, panting slightly as he gazed up to where his brother stood. Itachi turned, seeming to snap out of a haze, as Naruto was standing there rather calmly. Stay out of this, Naruto, Sasuke said. He's mine. I've festered my hatred, and I've ready and prepared myself. And this time, Sasuke conjured up the Chidori without a second thought. I will kill you, he said. He rushed forward to end Itachi's life. However, Itachi caught his arm, causing the technique to destroy the wall. As he called him pathetic, Naruto stood there as Sasuke got the crap beaten out of him until Itachi cast a Tsukuyomi upon him. Upon doing so, Sasuke collapsed out like a light. Naruto nodded towards Itachi, who gave him a look before he started to walk away. That is when Itachi jumped through the broken window, heading where Kisame was, as Naruto whistled. Upon doing so, the blue fox returned back to his side. Good work, said Naruto, making the fox tail whipped around like crazy. It was happy for the praise. That is when Jiraiya arrived on the scene, as Naruto was holding the unconscious Sasuke. Guy arrived as well, as he came out here to bring Sasuke back. They handed him over as he brought him back to the village. Jiraiya told Naruto about his suspicions. There was an organization going around trying to get the tail pieces, and Itachi was a part of it. Orochimaru was once a part of it as well, but for circumstances that he wasn't aware of, well, he didn't know why he left. Later that night, we find the two heading towards a bar. They search for Tsunade once again. Well, Jiraiya did most of the search. Naruto did not even seem to be looking whatever he was doing. He was just reading that book of his. As Naruto walked over without waiting on the Sannin, as he sat down in a booth that was already occupied, Jiraiya walked over as a shocked look appeared on his face. Tsunade, he said, as Naruto still hadn't gazed up. Jiraiya gazed down towards the boy, wondering if Naruto knew that is why he suggests to stop here. That must be the case. Huh? Jiraiya? What the hell are you doing here? As there was another person sitting there with a pig. Naruto closed his book. Hello there, he said. Hello? My name is Naruto. Naruto Namikaze. Nice to meet you. Oh, hi, I'm Shizune. Shizune Kato, she said, shaking Naruto's hand. Shizune couldn't help but blush as he raised her hand to his lips and kissed it. The pleasure is all mine, he said, with a smile on his face. Given how handsome he was, she couldn't help it. As he turned his gaze towards Tsunade. What the hell? Tsunade wondered to herself. She was buzzed a moment ago, but now, it felt like all the alcohol was drained out of her system. She saw that smirk on his face. "What did you do?" she said, feeling that he was behind whatever just happened. "Oh, I removed the alcohol out of your system." "What? How?" That is when she noticed tiny little bugs on the table. "An aberrami?" "No," said Naruto. "You're fully sober now. We've been looking for you for quite some time." Tsunade's eyes started to twitch because Naruto wasn't looking at her eyes. He was looking at her chest. "Hey, you pervert. My eyes are up here." "I apologize, but your breasts, they're rather large, I must say. They're the largest I ever seen. It just took me off guard." "My apologies," as he glanced up towards her eyes. She glanced over as Jiraiya was barely holding back his laughter, making her glare at him. As Naruto placed a file on the table, he slid it over towards her. "What the hell is this?" "Someone at the village has some rather bad problems after a battle. I was hoping if you could look at this and tell me if there is a way to solve what is going on with this person." "I'm busy," she said. "Drinking?" Naruto asked. "Well, I was trying to," she said. "I'm willing to pay for your services," he said, as he pulled out a wad of cash and placed it on the table. Tsunade looked at it and looked at him. "Fine, I'll take a look, but just a look, and if I can't solve it, you will leave me alone." Naruto pushed the cash over towards her. Sucker, she thought, as she took it and placed it away. She opened the file as she started to read it, her eyes going over everything. "This is bad," she said. "Really bad." As she looked at what happened to the young boy, "There's a chance, a 50% chance he will never be a ninja ever again." "Yes, I know," said Naruto. "But there is a surgery. But there could be complications, even death." Her tone was ominous as she said so. She closed the file. "The chances will be much better if the greatest medical ninja in the world performed the surgery, if I'm not mistaken." "That's right. But I'm not going back to that village," she said to him. "But you will," he said to her. "If that's what you came out here to ask, well, you're wrong. If you can't get him somewhere out here, I might consider doing it. After all, you paid me a lot just to look at the file alone. Seems you're not the smartest tool in the shed," she said. If she only knew, Jiraiya thought, but you wonder what Naruto was playing at, what he was trying to do. "Have you ever done something like this?" said Naruto. She shook her head no. "So this will be a first. To test if you still have it." "Have what?" she said. "You know, being one of the greatest medical ninjas. You spent the past couple of years drunken and moving around. There has been many people that has rise since you've left the village. So we can't say perhaps that you are the best anymore." "Have you lost your mind, you damn brat? Of course I'm the best. There's no one better than me." "Well, I suppose the youngsters like yourself wouldn't have the thought of exactly what I've done," she said. "Well, I'm not so convinced." Tsunade narrowed her gaze before she started to laugh. "Do you think I'm stupid? Are you trying to use reverse psychology on me to get me to return by baiting me to take this on?" "I was. I guess I failed." "Damn right you did. Now get the hell out of here," she said to him. "You know, you can make a real change in this boy's life. I'm sure that you saw what else is written in there. His chakra is something that he cannot use. So he spent his entire life working, pushing himself over and over again. He used taijutsu, nothing else and nothing more. And now there's a chance that he can never fight again. Well, I suppose his fate is in your hands. Don't you dare put this on me," she said. "But it already is." Naruto started to walk away. "Hey, come back here, you brat!" She got up and chased after him. Jiraiya was shocked that Naruto was irritating her so much that she was willing to go after him. Most of the time when he met her in the past, she barely even glanced his way when she was drinking. However, the moment she stepped outside, he was gone, forcing her to return back inside so she could talk to Jiraiya, as she heard about Hiruzen's death, and he was about to tell her what the council wanted for her to become the next Hokage. Time skip. 2 days later, Tsunade was still within the village, as there was a gambling tournament going on, but that wasn't only what was going on. Orochimaru had paid her a visit, wanting her to restore his hands, and he wanted to meet her by the end of the week. There was a knock on the door. It's been 2 days now she hadn't seen that kid again. She's seen Jiraiya but not the kid. She didn't know what his deal was, trying to put blame on her despite her not knowing this rock clear whatsoever. She's not returning back to that village. She opened the door as she was shocked. "Tuh, you again. Here to convince me to no," said Naruto. "Are you ready?" he asked. Stepping out was Shizune. Her clothing wasn't anything fancy but casual, as Naruto was dressed casual as well. "Shizune, what the hell is going on?" Tsunade asked. "Oh, I forgot to tell you, Tsunade-sama. I bumped into him yesterday. And, well, he offered to take me out, buy me dinner, so we could become friends. He said that he doesn't really have a lot of friends." "What? And you said yes?" "I thought, what would be the harm? He seemed bored. And besides, you're gonna gamble all the time, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I didn't think anything was wrong with hanging out with him." "Come on now," said Naruto. "It's not like she hasn't followed you or done everything that you've said. Allow her to have her peace and happiness as well." Tsunade snapped her glare towards Naruto. She was angry. "I'll be back soon. Promise," Shizune said as she left with Naruto. As they were walking, I thought about what you said the other day, and I was thinking about canceling at least several times. Are you just doing this so that you can convince Tsunade-sama to return back to the village?" "Partly, yes," said Naruto. "But that's not all. I saw the look in your eyes once you saw us. You want to return as well, do you not?" "Well, it has been a long time. Then why don't you speak up for yourself?" She released a breath. "Tsunade-sama has lost so much, and I don't want to leave her side. I believe if I do, she won't have anything left, and I'm afraid what will happen then. People always cease to amaze me. Sometime in a deadly way and sometime in a way of pure, affectionate, and honesty. And you're one of those people," said Naruto, "to amaze me by how willing you are to give up your life in order to make someone else happy. You are truly a wonderful, wonderful person," said Naruto. "It's about time that someone reward you for that. So come on," he said. "Let me show you the best night of your life." Shizune looked at his offered hand. He was younger than her, and yet he was so charming. And he was also mature. It's not like he was a little kid or anything. And besides, it's not like anything was gonna happen, she told herself. So she took the hand and they made their way. As Tsunade was watching them. Yes, she left the hotel and she was watching them. Time skip. It could only be described in one word. Immaculate. Yes, tonight was wonderful. For the first time in a long while, everything was about her. As here she was now. Shizune leaned in as she gave him a kiss on the cheek, thanking him for the amazing night. Naruto's intentions was not one of explicities, to go upstairs or anything like that. Despite not saying that once throughout the night, she could tell. But she didn't want it to do something like that as well on the first time of meeting someone like this. Besides, they have become amazing friends. But it was weird and complicated because even if that wasn't his intention, he speaks so charmingly. His words were to make someone feel flattering and mainly important. And throughout the whole night, The way he looked at her and speak about her, it was like the whole world was revolving around her as he wished her good night. The moment she was gone, as Naruto started to walk, he was grabbed and slammed into the wall. Alright, what's your game? A furious Tsunade said. Are you trying to get on my nerves? Are you trying to use Shizune against me? To turn her against me in order to force me to return back to the village? Because if you are, I'll let you know this right now. That's not gonna work. Shizune will never leave my side, and it doesn't matter what you... Tsunade was cut off. As Naruto looked up, Tsunade stepped back. As his gaze, it frightened her. Her whole body trembled. It felt like a beast crawled up her spine. His eyes was filled with such malice and rage. For a split second, the entire village that they were in shook, just from the oppressive aura that leaked from him just for a nanosecond. But it was gone, like it never happened, barely felt by anyone because of how quick it was. Sorry, said Naruto. Seems I lost my cool. That is rather unusual for me. Huh. He looked at her. What the hell was that, she said, still sweating. It's about Shizune. You have my intentions all wrong. I do like to have friends. And I thought she would make a good one, but I sat with her for some time. And I learned about a lot. You've been carrying her around everywhere you go, taking her life as yours. You're miserable, I can see that. You feel like you have nothing to live for, which is wrong, but you've taken her life and used it as yours, taking your misery and add it to hers. I don't feel you have any right to say what she deserves, because a person like that deserves a lot more than you is giving her right now. However, as I said, all of this is on you. And if you think there is nothing to live for because you lost your younger brother and you lost the man that you love, why not just go and end your life then? Why haven't you done that already? Because you know that life is worth living. You're just casting a shadow that you feel like you cannot break. But if you would just realize that you're not alone, maybe you can break through that darkness and emerge on the other side. After all, I know if I was your sibling and the world took me away, I would be truly disappointed to see what your life has become because of my death. Well, it's not my choice, it's yours. His words struck something deep inside of her, as tears started to flow down her cheeks. They seemed to be falling on their own because she wasn't making any noise, she was just looking at him as he proceeded to leave. Time skip. Shizune felt someone poking her on the head. She opened her eyes to see that it was Naruto. She jumped up. Lady Tsunade, it's alright. Wait, what happened? She went. But you didn't know. Shizune had told Naruto. Yes, on the 4th day. While they were hanging out, she told him what happened with Orochimaru. However, Naruto had not told a soul. He kept it to himself, not even telling Jiraiya. There's nothing to worry about, he said, as he placed a hand on her shoulder. I think. No, I know what she's gonna do. Besides, today is going to be the death of one of Konoha's greatest criminals. And I'm going to ensure of that, said Naruto. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want the next part to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.